the first principle is try to design something or try to not use new products or anything. That's the first principle of a circular economy. Try to be smarter with the resources that you have. And once you've got products and materials and components in your economic system, in your society, make sure that you use them as long as possible in good condition. So don't create something that you will use one time and throw it away, either to make energy or to turn it into a landfill. But make something that you could use for a very long time by different people until you eventually reach the end of use. And in that state, end of use, you are sure that you can use all the different materials again for a new process. So, essence, be smart with your resources. So, as we have a linear economy at the moment, that's a very strong economy with a lot of vested interests. And what we say is to shift the linear economy into a circular economy is decades of work. But you can facilitate that transition by forming new coalitions with parties, front runners that can do differently and will do differently. So what we've done from the Amsterdam Economic Board, we have set up a large program that's being supported by most of the actors within the region, in which we look at all the different waste streams that we currently have and look whether we can, instead of burning it, we can put it to a higher value, so we can make products out of it. So we look at each waste stream, for instance, diapers, textile, e-waste, biomass, and say, okay, what's the current situation and where do we lose the value? What could we do differently? What technologies shall we use? And how do we? And what parties should actually work on this? Then we bring those parties together and negotiate them towards a letter of intent or a commitment to work together, so that they put investment money together to further investigate whether an investment is actually necessary for larger facilities to produce products from waste streams. So it's a high-grade recycling. But circular economy is more than recycling. I really would like to emphasize that. Because currently what we do, we recycle well, but you have to go back into designing your houses, in designing your products as such that you use sustainable material. You design it as such that it's a modular function, so that in the future you can use a building or a space in a different way without wasting anything. So it all goes back to the design phase, and that's where urban planners, but also designers, product designers, but also it all goes back to what do you need and how do you design it for future use. I think it's all about dealing with it smarter. I know that we have an increasing consumption because we have, increasing world population, but there is also the trend that is against it, that you don't need to own everything yourself. There is, you can lease. There's products as a service, or there's service that you can render instead of buying something yourself. A lot of the people in the Netherlands, 20, 30 years old, don't own a car anymore because they share cars or they lease a car once they need it, and for the rest they use public transportation. So a lot of people already look at ownership differently than they used to do before. So I think it's a shift as well, and there's a large responsibility at the producer's side. If you are a responsible organization, but you have a business model and you obviously would like to sell quite a lot of products, you also have to reinvestigate whether selling more products will be your next generation business model, or whether producing something that someone might lease and you keep the ownership, and once that person is done using it, you take it back and reuse it again for better purposes. So instead of using your material once, as a company, you can use it twice or 3 times, or maybe 4 times. So I think what everyone should realize is that you can earn a lot of money with doing it smarter. So you buy the material and the resource once, and after that you keep it in the system for as long as possible. And if you, as a large producer, owner of material, do it smartly, you always keep it, you always get it back, and you can always use it again. So that takes away the ownership from the people in the chain, from you and I. We don't need to own it. There's even washing machines that you can lease, cars that you share. A friend of mine is using jeans that he leases, and after 12 months he gives it back and he gets a new one. So there's all kinds of different business models, and it all is aimed at not producing more, but using what you have smartly. Social inclusion is a big topic. There is a big divide between people that are part of it, that that live the city, and there is also a large group that just is lagging behind. And it's good to include that part of society as well. It's also being caused by digitization. Some people just can't cope with the changing environment. But it's crucial, if you want to keep a coherent society, to include those as well. And if you look at circular economy, if you look at the new make industry, which is what circular economy is, there is a lot of jobs that are being created because you start remanufacturing and repurposing and repairing and refurbishing whatever you have. So that also includes people that can't really cope with changes. But there is the elderly people, young people. So one of the big challenges is that we keep a coherent city that everyone can join and everyone is part of. Well, eventually, because we are talking about recycling, and recycling is obviously something that you will do now because we have a linear economy and you would like to reuse it. But eventually you will go to a society where you don't create that much waste. And as a result, you don't create that many transport kilometers for waste, for building, so it reduces the CO2 emissions on your transport, it reduces CO2 emissions on production, it makes the streets cleaner, it is a social, inclusive society, so people will feel part of it. There's makeversities, make cities, so people are actually, it will create a city that's cleaner, that has less strain and less consumption as a result. And because of the sharing and viewing ownership differently, you also get new interactions and new contacts with people around you. So in my view, it will be a city that has everyone is aware of the value of the resource that they have, whether it's waste or products, and just you're careful in swapping it and giving it away, because your waste will be someone else's profit. So it will be fully responsible citizens that also earn money with the value of whatever it is that they have. I don't know how the waste management is being dealt with here in Moscow, but what we have done in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam, in the Amsterdam region, is that we, 3 years ago, we did a round visiting all the different mayors and the different municipalities to urge them to put circular economy on the agenda. Secondly, we set up a program from the Amsterdam Economic Board, because we're independent public-private partnership and they support it. And the program said that we have an aim for 2025 to be the region that has, is the smartest with regard to resources. So what we did, we set up a program in June 2016 jointly with the other municipalities, because cooperation between the different municipalities is key. There's cooperation necessary for a couple of reasons. One is, if you have waste collection, You need to have the same standards. You have to make sure that your waste separation is done in a correct way so that, you know, it's whatever you collect is clean, so you can reuse it again. But also, if you would like to bundle, because everything, circular economy is everything about scale. If you have enough volume on the supply side, so if you have enough waste being bundled, then somewhere a coalition will come and invest on high upgrading this volume. And if you create enough demand for the products that are being produced, then someone will invest again. So if you don't have volume, you don't get that system change. So what the municipalities have done, they have started cooperating together in how much they collect, how much they bundle, who can have that, what are the standards, what are the norms, and also on what they demand in their procurement processes. So what products do they want? Do they want circularly designed products and services, or do they want something that, you know, goes to waste quickly after one-time use? And changing that mindset that they do it jointly, that's all about volume, and that they can drive change by leading by example, actually set the tone for change in waste management, etc. It helps if the national government also sets the targets, and the Dutch government has set the target, but I think Moscow is strong enough with all the different areas that once you cooperate and you add value to your waste and make it a resource, then that will be definitely will help speed things up, or at least shake things. But you always need an independent party, like in this case the Amsterdam Economic Board, who is able to set the agenda, who has the mandate to set the agenda, has the mandate to set the actions, has the mandate to put coalitions together to do things differently, and who has, without any interests, leads people to do things differently. So that's, I think, what you need to do. You need to have an independent institute look at how you deal with your current system. But every situation, every city is different, obviously. But for us, it works that the municipalities work together on the supply side. Everyone in our networks has the power to purchase, so the power to steer whatever it is that you produce. So you decide what someone else produces, because you have the power of volume, and make sure that you put strong business cases and investment against the vested interests, so that for them it also becomes interested to join. What we've done in the Netherlands, we have installed incineration capacity, so we burn waste for electricity, which was good for a long time. But now it hinders us a little bit in, you don't want to burn waste, it creates electricity, but you would like to reuse your material. And if you burn it, you destroy the material. So the recommendation often is don't skip that step. Go from landfill right into collection, separation, and reuse and recycle. Preferably don't create electricity from it, because then you destroy the value of whatever it is that you have. And if Moscow does landfill at the moment, there's a clean sheet to get all the parties together who have some kind of interest, and see whether, you know, you can sort of work your way towards a different way of approaching this. But clearly, everyone has an interest and a business model, and so it needs a lot of negotiation and a lot of power, and maybe a lot also influence from someone higher up who says, okay, we are going to do things differently from now on. Because people need to feel that you are the right person that actually has the mandate, or the right organization that actually has the mandate to do things differently. If you don't have the mandate, no one will listen.